Hello and welcome to the semifinals of Grand Prix Florence 2015. I'm your host Maij, Big Z Zalkai, here with Pro Tour winner Simon Gertsen, and it's great to have you, Simon, here to provide us with analysis, because you know the Germans in the semifinals in Rosada, Schäfer, and Maij, and you said that they were like kind of old timers with a couple good results, but I've been very impressed with how they've been. Especially constructing decks, because I have play decisions. Maybe they could have done a little better here and there. I mean, as you said, they're rusty, but in general, I think they were really good at building decks.
Oh yes, they have so much experience to build upon, and also I think I don't know Frank Schäfer personally, but Adrian, Rosada and Rosario Maij, they're like almost like stone cold killers, right? They're you can't read them. They're always like somewhat relaxed, but still playing very tightly. So I just enjoy watching them play.
Yeah, and they're the way they also talk and hold themselves at the table leans itself to they kind of look like ringers, like the old German ringers, like really quiet. But then, they just crush you in the draft, and you had no idea what happened.
It's definitely small talk, big play.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
not
much
the other way around.
Yeah, and unlike the other German group in the semifinals, which is a lot of talk. Anyway, we're going to start off this semifinal match between Eduardo Sajgalik and Frank Schäfer, with the German on the left being on the play. You can also see the scoreboard that we have there, and it's important to mention that Rosario has picked up a game loss, so he is down a game in his match against Fabrizio and Anteri. It was because of continuous draft violations, meaning that he was taking way too long in picking a card, and the judge decided to first grant him a warning and then upgrade the warning to a game loss. And it's also because of what Simon mentioned. I mean, they just don't know all the cards, and I'm pretty sure they didn't team draft before this tournament. Maybe played a couple of team seals, but they just are not that familiar with the cards. But it shows you what good synergy and good deck building can bring.
Yes, and they even had a loss to give in the final round of this tournament. So they were crushing the Swiss.
Yeah, it's basically the rematch, right? I mean, this was the last round.
They tried to kick them out.
Yeah, the English team needed to win the last round, defeating the Germans here. So now the Germans are here to exact revenge, or maybe Eduardo and company can go for the full swoop. We'll see. As we see Frank Schäfer mulligan to 6. He's on a green-white deck. If you've been watching the stream, you've seen the draft from Frank. We also seen Eduardo's draft. I wasn't that impressed, but we'll see if he can string together a couple wins here to get his team to the finals. Eduardo is probably in the position to gain the most by getting to the finals, as he will be locking up silver if they manage to win this Grand Prix. Silver level status, and of course Fabrizio Anteri could use some extra pro points because he is on a quest to get the gold level status.
Yeah, and you've already said that Eduardo Sajgalik is red-green splashing blue, whereas Frank Schäfer is white-green. We believe that Frank might be a bit favored due to the matchup, and also from being on the play, because they were the higher seeded team. But if Eduardo pulls out a victory here, then his more experienced team overall might be at an advantage.
Yeah, maybe. We see Herald of Dromoka from Frank Schäfer, while Eduardo goes with the Forest on his second turn. Now the decision between a Smoldering Ifrit and Whisperer Wilds goes for that mana acceleration, and this is where you want to be. He picked it up fairly late, and it made his deck, I feel, much better.
Yeah, and if you have it in your opening hand and you don't play it on turn 2, it loses almost all of its value. So it's usually a pretty straightforward decision. Frank with a pretty mana-heavy hand.
Yep.
When Frank Carsten and I were commentating on his draft, we thought that there was some decisions where Frank could have prioritized creatures a bit more.
Yeah. Or in general, spells, cards for his deck instead of hate drafting.
That too, but actually both.
Yep. There's a Conifer Strider from Frank Schäfer. Hexproof proving nice here, very important, because Eduardo does have a Twin Bolt in his hand. And it also holds off the Goblin Hill Cutter nicely, because you can't target it with the Hill Cutter's ability. So let's see if Eduardo has a good follow-up. We know he has Smoldering Ifrit and the Twin Bolt, but does he have anything else? Okay, so he's offering up the trade with the Conifer Strider. Frank declines.
Yeah, I like offering the trade there.
And there's the Smoldering Efreet from Eduardo. And just passing the turn over to Frank.
He has 3 mana available that he's not using, but if he gets to cast Twin Bolt, he actually uses up almost all the mana during his turn. And what is funny is that Conifer Strider was really kind of the worst case for him because he was holding Roast. So any like big creature he could have killed.
Yeah, sure.
But the 5/1 hexproof is an issue.
Let's see. Is Frank going to attack with both his creatures or neither? Or just one? We'll see. This is the perfect spot for a Dromoka's Gift. 5 mana, bolster 4. Make a 9/5 Conifer Strider.
Or press the advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I mean, if your opponent has an instant speed way to kill the Dromoka Warrior, okay, but then they've still used a removal spell on your 2/2, and you've crashed in for quite a lot of damage.
Sure.
Also, there aren't too many instant ways for red to do this. Twin Bolt and Tail Slash, basically the cards.
So there's the attack, and Enduring Victory played on the Smoldering Efreet after it has blocked the Conifer Strider. Looks like, Eduardo's gonna Twin Bolt the Herald of Dromoka, but it's going to take 2 from the ability, so down to 14, and now has to face off against 6/2 Conifer Strider.
Yeah, but still, the Enduring Victory was super weak when you compare it to basically any other combo trick.
Sure.
Like, it's you spend 5 mana and you get less out of the deal. Well, maybe not strictly worse, but a Tread Upon would have basically done the same thing and dealt trample damage. So overall, can't be too happy. Interesting race here. Eduardo takes for 3, but is happy to take 6 on the backswing.
Yeah, I think he's hoping that he's going to just draw a creature now. And if Frank Schäfer adds to the board, he's hoping to play maybe Roast and creature. And he still has the Whisper of the Wilds, which basically kind of useless. So he can try to raise here.
I don't agree with this line because you just risk losing to one of the many trample effects that the green-white has available, or maybe just let's say a protection spell, Center Soul, and going down to 8 I think is super risky. Yep. Trading 3 for 6 I think is not something you can do.
No, that plan backfired quickly because Eduardo did not find another creature, so there's a swing in just with the morph, which we know is a Sandstorm Charter, and I think Frank Schäfer is going to Megamorph that. That's going to be 4 points of damage, so a 4/5. Eduardo has a Roast, but now he really needs to draw some spells because he kept a pretty landlight hand.
He also didn't Roast the morph, maybe wanting to make sure that it's not a Mist of Kirin and that he isn't just throwing away his removal spell. On the other hand, Mist of Kirin would have pretty much killed him anyway. So it's
fair enough. There's a Roast on the Sandstorm Charger.
Not sure if Eduardo isn't going to regret some of his decisions here.
Offers up the trade here again, and now plays the Einog Guide.
Yeah, and Frank is hoping to basically get the 3 for 6 trade again, which would win him the game.
Yeah, but Eduardo finally drew something. He still has land in his hand, but I think Frank Schäfer is almost out of cards himself.
Yeah, but this is like there's so many spells in the format that kill Eduardo here.
Sure, Tread Upon, press the advantage. But no, still, I mean, Eduardo is in an okay spot, just on 4 life, but he has 2 blockers. And if Frank Schäfer doesn't add to this board, Eduardo's fine, especially if he draws a spell. You see no play from Frank Schäfer. And there's the Sarkhan Unbroken, no blue mana though. He just played the Einog Guide as a 1/1. Didn't find his island.
Yeah, your dead cards in this spot are already all forests and all mountains. And if you draw your splash card, then you're really getting punished.
So let's see. Just attack with the Hill Cutter for Eduardo.
Yeah, the issue is if he attacks for 5, he's still not presenting a 2-turn clock.
Another land for Frank Schäfer. Yeah, both players with plenty of lands, but Eduardo a card up because Frank mulliganed. Might be the key to victory. Does he have anything?
No, he has 3 lands.
3 lands, wow.
That's quite unfortunate.
Look how he's trying to bluff, though. This is the sign of a ringer in Frank Schäfer.
Does he play a land, or does he just go with three cards in hand?
At this point, I think he's making it too obvious. This is what we call Hollywooding. Isn't he's trying to pull off a story by trying choosing to tap his mana here and there, but he's just bluffing. Has nothing.
But as you said, a third of the time would probably have been sufficient.
Yeah. So let's see. How does Frank want to play this? He can't really trade. He can't go for the trade.
He has to say go and hope he draws something that wins him the game.
Yeah.
Press the advantage.
It would be great. Maybe he wouldn't mind something like Dromoka's Command. More lands for Eduardo as well.
Dromoka's Command, yeah, that would be nice as well, but it isn't lethal, is it?
No.
So trample is, I think, the key.
It is, but he could, kill the Einok Guide and force Eduardo to block with his Whisper Waltz. Okay, now he draws a spell. It is an Abzan Sky Captain. All right, so that's certainly interesting with Eduardo being on 4. But remember, with the Goblin Heel Cutter attacking, it can make the Absent Sky Captain unable to block, and Frank Schäfer will be forced to trade off the Conifer Strider with the Heel Cutter.
No, but that's actually not a bad trade, now that he's drawn a flyer.
Well, I don't think it's a good play either. If Eduardo has any sort of follow-up.
Yeah, but if not, then Frank might win the race, actually.
Sure.
Oh, Segmented Crotic?
I think so, yeah.
Man, these kind of games, often it's just about having one more creature than the other person, and that gives you lines that you otherwise wouldn't have.
So what does Eduardo do here? I think he has to swing with both creatures, force the trade. The Absent Sky Captain can block. Conifer Strider is going to block the Heel Cutter, and Frank Schäfer is going to go down to 3.
Yeah, and then Eduardo has a ground creature that's lethal, but if Frank draws a jump blocker, he's very favored to win.
Yes. So, what would you have? What could he have done differently? Could he have not attacked here, just play a morph and pass?
How does this improve his position? He
next turn, Frank. Okay.
There's the ground creature. I think.
Absent King Guard.
I think it's going to be exactly one point of damage that decides this game. And to be honest, I think it was the racing decision by Eduardo, and also the decision not to roast the creature that ultimately dealt another 4 points.
I still think that if Eduardo declined to attack, played his morph past the turn, if Frank attacks with his Sky Guard, he would now make the King Guard not be able to block, and the Conifer Strider would have to block with the morph, and that was 5 damage from the Heel Cutter and the Einok guy. So I think Eduardo could have won this game.
Yeah, because but I don't know if I would call it a mistake to attack there. It doesn't really look like a bad trade to trade the 6/2 Conifer Strider for your Heel Cutter.
There's a swing, chump blocking the Crotic. Frank Schäfer gains some life because of the King Guard. He has a white permanent, so it has lifelink. And Eduardo, does he have an answer to the flyer? I think Eduardo's on 2, not on 4, right?
I think so too.
Oh, so Frank Schäfer wins game 1. And Eduardo maybe can think about what could he have done differently in this game to maybe win it. So one up for Frank Schäfer, and we also see the update from the match between Rosario Maij and Fabrizio Anteri. Rosario, after a game loss for draft validations, he got back a game for 1-1. But now we're in the middle match between Daniel Royde and Adrian Rosada. Daniel Royde on the right, only with a Scaleguard Sentinels, and Adrian Rosada in complete control of the game. As you can see, he has Silumgar Assassin, as well as a Rakshasa Gravecaller. I told you his blue-black deck is pretty good.
Yeah, and look at that board advantage. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, Rakshasa Gravecaller is an army on its own, as we see here, but still, only attacking with one creature. I thought we were already in the stages where you would be alpha striking, but a lot of things have happened in the game, so it's possible that Adrian might be on the low life total, or
Adrian has so many cards in his
4
hand
more
as well.
cards, multiple Dowsing Glooms.
Yeah, that was an Acid Spear Dragon played face down. I think he also has Marsh Hulk in his hand.
Talk about comfort zone.
Oh, but I mean, Adrian Rosada is only on 4. And there you see, there's a herd. It was a herd chaser dragon, the green megamorph dragon. But he's maybe a little short on being able to morph it and unmegamorph it in the same turn.
Yeah, you need 10 for that. He has 9.
Yeah, but he
has
has
the 10th land. And then he is, in theory, he has a lethal attacker, but...
In theory, yes. But we know there's an acid spewer dragon for Adrian. And Daniel has a sprinting warbrute, so maybe Adrian already knows about it.
That's why the 3/6 didn't attack last turn. Because he had
yeah.
more information than we had.
Okay, so he hardcasts the sprinting warbrute. So he's going to pass the turn here and hope that his morph is going to survive for the following turn. He could have lived mana up to on Megamorph it. I mean, we know about the Dowsing Gloom. Then doesn't. I was sitting there when Eduardo was like, Dan, remember, he has Dowsing Gloom for sure. I passed one. This is exactly the spot where Daniel could have maybe not played the Warbrute. And
but do you think Adrian would have cast Dowsing Gloom if Daniel passes with 7 mana up?
Probably not. No,
I don't think so.
Still, you can see Adrian Rosada also has Profaner of the Dead in his hand. Not the best in this spot, but he can always sacrifice the Rakshasa Gravecaller.
That's based on toughness, right?
It's based on toughness, correct.
Yeah, so a 6 toughness creature is incredible there.
Yeah, but he just uses the reducing stature to make the sprinting Warbrute a 0/2. And now he can safely attack with a Silumgar Assassin. Yeah, Daniel Royde can trade his skill on Sentinels for it, but I don't think he wants to. Yeah, pass of the turn. Daniel down to 11. Adrian Rosada is on 6. He did gain 2 life off the Dowsing Gloom, so you can see. Struggling. Daniel Royde is struggling to think of a line of play that could work here. Still attacking with his sprinting Warbrute because he has to.
Yeah, that's not a choice. It's
block with everything.
Yeah, Adrian is actually holding the other Dowsing Gloom, so if Daniel has some crazy combination of tricks, like he could always respond to it. But of course, Daniel has no interest to keep his O2 alive. This looks as one-sided as in the beginning. Now the sprinting Warbrute has died. Maybe Adrian can be a bit more aggressive even. And we know that it's an Acid Spirit Dragon. So I think Adrian can probably make a 2-turn clock. Create a 2-turn clock here if he wants to. I don't even know if I like the Profaner of the Dead in that spot.
No, why would you play it here? I like it as a 3/3 for 4. A Hill Giant, very nice.
Yeah, I think I like keeping open your mana for Acid Spirit Dragon, or okay.
Yeah, he's going for
or
it.
keeping up Dowsing Gloom.
We call this going for the jugular. And then you're like, yep, that's good enough for me.
We call this scooping up your cards.
Scooping up your cards, yeah. That's what Daniel Royde's doing. So the English team really is stuck in a rut here. Eduardo Sajgalik down a game, so is Daniel Royde. And the only game that they managed to win so far was a game lost by Rosario Maij.
So they haven't won a game yet.
They haven't won a proper game yet, yes. So the Germans, you see the smiles on their faces, so they're doing pretty well. It looks like both players might be mulliganing here in the match between Frank Schäfer and Eduardo Sajgalik. I think that's what the talk was about there. And also, Rich, maybe you have some updates from the other match, maybe?
Yes, I do. This feels like one of those games of whispers where someone told someone to tell someone that someone might be interested in something that was to do with Tuesday. But nonetheless, this is as far as I can glean. It looks like you say things not going well for the British team here. They're not going well for the British team there either. Right now, it looks like Amit Cohen has defeated Dan Gardner by 2-0. So that's obviously they only need one more for the German team to wrap up the slot in the final. Robin Steinborn is up a game on, I think it's Matteo Orsini-Jones. And then Jasper Grimmer and Marco Orsini-Jones, they are still locked in a game 1, which presumably involves all of the blue and black cards, I'm certainly guessing. So right now, Cohen win in the books, Steinborn 1 up. And if he can get one more win, or Jasper Grimmer can finally put to the sword Marco Orsini-Jones, then the Germans will be through. So very much advantage Germany in the other semi-final.
So if this was a 2-0 victory, then England has not won a game yet against the German teams.
True. But
really unfortunate for
it is the same in football or soccer, where
you know I'm still wearing headphones, don't you, Simon? You know I can hear you, don't you?
I was hoping.
Of course you are. You should see Simon's smile when Rich was relaying the results. The Germans are the Germans are winning, and the Germans are winning. Okay, you're very happy about that, Simon. I'm sure.
Oh, the all German final, the all Berlin final.
All Berlin final.
They could have done it at their apartment for the weekend, but they'll do it
in Italy,
in the feature match area.
All right. Pretty good. I'm surprised Dan Gardner fell so quickly to Amit Cohen because his white-black deck looked really solid, and Amit Cohen's deck looked like a decent black-red deck. But I think it probably was down to a raise and the fact that maybe Amit Cohen had some nice removal, could have swung that in his favor, or maybe just Dan mulligan a couple times and it was over quickly. It's always strange when one match already is over with 2-0, and one of the other matches is still in game 1. As you can see, Eduardo is mulliganing. We'll see how many cards he's going to pick up. If maybe it's the second mulligan already, because they've been taking quite a long time to get going here. Frank Schäfer making sure that he'll mulligan the sleeveless deck of Eduardo Sajgalik properly, and to make the value of the Sarkhan even lower. All right, there's some lands for Eduardo. He has 2 4s and I know guide. So Whisperer of the Wilds as well. So if he needs to, he can go find a mountain with the I know guide, even though it's not the best use of mana, but there's certainly worse uses. So what does he go with? Whisper or I know guide? Looking for lands.
Yeah, it's really awkward. You'd never want to use this ability on the Enoch guide, but sometimes you're just forced to. On the other hand, if you find the mountain, the Enoch guide can also find you the island for the Sarkhan. So, yeah, Eduardo can't be too happy about this.
I would have gone with the Whisper here.
Me too.
Good to know. Hey, Rich. So, any more info?
Yeah, it's getting grim and grimmer for England because Jasper Grimmer won game 1 against Marco Orsini-Jones. So game total 4-0 to the Germans in that one. And where are we now? 3-0 technically because of the game loss for Rosario. So there we are. Big comeback possibly in a bit.
The dream is still alive. So yeah, now we see Eduardo play the Whisper of the Wilds and hasn't really generated any tempo with this line of play. I guess Enoch Guide with its 1/1 stats will trade off with the
Sensitive Outcast?
Yeah, now that Frank Schäfer decided to generate a spirit.
Yep. Didn't go for the 3-2. Eduardo draws a forest here, and there's a Tarka Pummeler, so 4-5 for 5, at least a solid creature to get Eduardo started, but he really has a lot of catching up to do in this game.
Yeah, now we're going to see one of these situations again, and this has been the case throughout the weekend, where the first person to mount a serious attack is always the one threatening all kinds of combo tricks or removal.
Yeah.
And it looks like Eduardo might be the person to do that because he just has the largest creature on the battlefield with the Tarka Pummeler.
I really like the Tarka Pummeler. That card, I like the raw numbers that it offers, and the ability is also great, where you need Formidable to activate it, but it then means that if you have Formidable and connectivity ability, you're usually crashing in for a lot of damage.
Frank Schäfer is holding a crazy amount of lands too.
There's the Conifer Strider.
He's curved out really nicely, but I think his deck might be lacking in staying power when you see how it all ended up. I mean, he was really close to losing the first game too.
Yeah, I think Eduardo could have won that game.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely close enough, and there were some tough decisions, like really close decisions, where ultimately he took a bit too much damage.
I think the game would have gone on for a bit if Frank played it conservatively. and it wasn't obvious that Eduardo could win. But I think there were spots where could have been certainly a little better. Anyway, here's the Sandstep Scavenger, meaning bolster 2, makes the Ino Guide a 3/3. Yeah, Edo just confirming that the Whisper of the Wilds gives 2 green mana now that the Atarka Pummeler is in play.
Which is actually interesting because Adrian Rosada played with Whisper of the Wilds earlier, and he thought that it was a formidable ability rather than a ferocious ability.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that it gave 2 mana much earlier than he
Yeah,
thought.
and look what Eduardo is doing. He's swung in with the 3/3 Ino Guide, played the Smoldering Flame, has no cards in hand, but he has 7 mana at his disposal. So next turn he can activate the Formidable ability and attack with the team. The ability means that Eduardo's creature can only be blocked by 2 creatures, so he can get into some nice attacks. Especially because if you look at the toughness of Frank Schäfer's creatures, it's 2 or 1.
Yeah, it's basically the Royde evasion in this set.
Yeah.
That can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures. Frank Schäfer drew Assault Formation. I love the card, but I'm surprised to find it in his deck, actually.
Isn't it like he has... it's actually actively bad for him now?
The Conifer Strider Assault Formation combination is not what we call a combo.
Yeah, especially because we just said that he has a 2/2/2/1, 5/1/1/1. So if he plays Assault Formation, which has creatures deal damage based on their toughness instead of their power, I mean, he can pump his team up with toughness. I mean, that's a plan, but I mean, it's still not great.
No, you can't. I don't think you can downgrade your Conifer Strider to a 1/1 effectively.
Yeah.
And the problem is he has 3 forests in hand, so I don't really know where this is going. Like I said, I think that Assault Formation itself is a great card in this format, but why do you put it in the same deck as Conifer Strider?
I think Frank was a little low on playables towards the end. I think he had 20 cards of a good deck, but then really struggled with the last couple, 2 or 3. So he's swinging.
How to get rid of my 5/1?
Interesting. Yeah, Eduardo must be confused as well. Why is he exposing his Conifer Strider? He probably has a pump spell, so Eduardo's thinking of blocking here. Yeah. There he goes. So Sandstep Scavenger is going to trade with the Conifer Strider. He's consulting with Dan, Royde.
Yeah, because this is such a confusing situation.
Yeah. But we have an update from Table A. England scoreboard. Fabrizio Anteri won game 3 in his match. Remember, his opponent Rosario Maij got a game loss for taking too long in the drafts. He was picking cards for a way too long time. Got a warning first, then a game loss. Now it comes back to haunt them. Eduardo's teammate Fabrizio has taken the first match, but with both Daniel and Eduardo being down a game, there's still a lot to be done for the English team.
Yeah, but I mean, now Rosario is going to be really unhappy about the game. I mean, he was probably unhappy about the game loss before, but the fact that he now has actually been punished. He could have compensated with a 2-hour victory, but he didn't manage to.
Yeah. Eduardo draws one of the worst cards in his deck, which is the Heatstone Retainers. It's a card he can't even cast now, but I think Eduardo's plan is pretty clear. Pay 7 mana, use Formidable on the Atarka Pummeler, and swing in with at least a 4/5 and a 3/3.
I don't know if I like attacking with the 4/5. If your opponent double blocks, you get a really bad trait.
True.
I don't think there's a line that involves activating the Atarka Pummeler this turn.
I mean, that's the only line he has. He doesn't have to attack then in the other case. Like, he could attack with the Ino Guide only and try to trade for the Herald of Dromoka.
Yeah, then he doesn't have to activate. Then it's just...
Oh, yeah, but he doesn't have to activate, but yeah, he can force the double block if he wants to.
Okay, if he wants to get rid of the 2 toughness creature.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a reason to do so. And his card in hand is uncastable, so...
Yeah, pretty much so.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't feel good to activate and then only attack with a 3/3. I think he should go for it though.
It would be good. Remember, so now Frank's creatures deal damage equal to their toughness, and also Assault Formation allows Frank to pump the toughness of his creatures for 3 mana. So that means that if Eduardo attacks, Frank effectively has a 2/3 Herald of Dromoka, but that deals 3 damage instead of 2. And the Sandstep Outcast is a 2/2 that deals 2 damage, which is normal, but he only pumps the toughness with the Assault Formation.
Yeah, which is enough because it's all that counts. I don't think there's any way that the Otaka Plummeter can attack this turn.
Yeah.
Eduardo comes to the same conclusion. It looks like he doesn't activate.
No, not yet. I mean, it looks like he's not activating. But this now means that the only good trade for Frank is putting the Herald of Dromoka there. And now it activates the Assault Formation that they trade. So this also means that Eduardo has lost Formidable because only has 6 power on the board now.
Yeah, I don't think that's such a big deal, but it's certainly not irrelevant.
Well, we'll see. If Eduardo draws a cheap spell, he can have a really explosive following turn because he has the Huge Stone Retainers.
I don't like that card at all.
Me neither, but
I know that some people are really high on it, and they tell me of like how great it is always on turn 5 when you have a 2-drop and a 3-drop. But the Huge Stone Retainers, to me, the downside is just far too high.
All right, so Rich, do you have more updates for us from the feature match area?
I do. So I'm holding my headphones quite a long way away from my ears, so that in about 3 seconds' time, when I give the result, I don't get utterly deafened by Simon's yelp. That's right. It's over. Cohen, Steinborn, and Grimmer are through to the final, and that means the end of the road for Gardner, Orsini Jones, and Orsini Jones. So Cohen, Steinborn, and Grimmer are through to the final.
Great run by the Orsini Jones brothers.
I agree. I thought their technical play was a bit lacking at times. They weren't that familiar with the cards, but still they put together a great run. Only lost once throughout the whole tournament. That was on day 1.
No, actually, we have the German team that's a bit rusty against the players who are really active and trying to secure the levels. And then on the other tail, we have the young Berlin guys who are constantly drafting against the old school English players who. Might have been not having to learn some of the cards and interactions this weekend.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're happy. They must be really happy that they qualified for the Pro Tour again. I mean, with the new system, it's always not very good for teams for players that just don't play that much anymore because now you need to win a preliminary PTQ, then you have to win top 4 regional PTQ. So it's not easy if you're not playing that often. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. Okay, now Frank actually doesn't mind having that many lands at this point. He added a Dragon Hunter, which also not the best combo with Assault Formation, but with 6 mana open, he can pump twice, so he can effectively make his creatures into 3/3s.
Yeah, now with that much mana, every creature just counts.
All right, so there's a Summit Prowler, and here comes the Retainers. So it's a 3 mana artifact that is a 4/4, but you need to have played another spell before you can play it. And so now Eduardo is actually in decent shape because next turn he can use 7 mana, pay Formidable on the Pummeler, and swing in with for a lot of damage. Because remember, the Formidable ability means that Frank will have to double block, and with only 2 creatures, that means that he can only block 1.
It's also kind of funny how Frank is holding Epic Confrontation, but despite the Assault Formation, cannot kill
anything.
the high toughness creatures.
Yeah, maybe now? No, still no. He can make some 2/3s.
Yeah, he can make at most 3 power.
3/5s. Yeah, like he can kill Summit Prowler now.
Yes, which is not bad.
Yeah, but he needs to waste all his mana doing that.
He can kill Summit Prowler, but not Huge Stone Retainers.
Yes, correct. Because he can only make a 3-power guy because Epic Confrontation still cares about the power, and it doesn't matter that the Assault Formation cares about toughness.
Because Assault Formation modifies how combat works,
yes,
but fighting with a creature is different from that.
Correct. All right. Now Frank Schäfer's pondering. What can I do here? But I mean, once he does that, I think Eduardo will gladly attack with his creatures because suddenly Frank doesn't have the mana to use the assault formation, and Eduardo would get in for quite a decent amount of damage.
The thing is, if Frank has exactly 3 creatures, it's the worst case for him.
Yeah.
Because a Tarka Pummeler will mean that only 1 creature can block, and that's not a lot.
So attacks with the spirit, pumps. So that means that Eduardo goes down to 13, took 2 there, and now Frank is leaving up 6 mana. So he can still pump twice here.
Yeah, so is his plan to just threaten to block the Tarka Pummeler?
Maybe. I mean, Eduardo doesn't have to expose his Tarka Pummeler. He can pay 7 and just swing with the Summit Prowler and the Retainers.
Yeah,
and probably the Smoldering. At this point, he can probably attack with the Smoldering Efreet as well.
I think the Smoldering Efreet should definitely attack.
Yeah, because the only way that is relevant is when Eduardo double blocks the Efreet, and that he would gladly have Frank take 8.
Yeah, I think the Efreet has almost a free attack here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's 2 damage that was missed. So, yeah, pump twice. That means that the Retainers kill the Dragon Hunter.
It's interesting that this is the second time where we've disagreed with a decision connected to attacking or blocking. Like with the Goblin Heel Cutter, I was also surprised. Whereas the lines and the strategy looks to be top notch on Eduardo Sajgalik's side.
Is that a light form from Frank Schäfer? Yeah, he's playing so many lands. It's basically favoring him with the assault formation.
Yeah, that's why I just love the card. There's just no way to really be unhappy about drawing too many lands with that.
Yeah. In the meantime, Daniel Royde evens it up at 1 game apiece in the middle match. So the English team is 1 game away from winning the whole round.
On the other hand, if Adrian Rosada wins the game, then the German team is heavily favored. So it's basically coming down to that. And I think if Frank plays the light form, we'll see him attack for 1 point of damage again.
Quite likely.
Because having 2 creatures on defense is exactly enough to basically prevent any reasonable attacks.
He still has the Epic Confrontation in his hand, and actually now he could play it.
Do you mean to kill the
Summit Prowler?
Summit Prowler after having activated Assault Formation? I think.
Yeah, like use the Assault Formation once, play the Epic Confrontation and swing for 2 as well while gaining some life.
But only leaving 2 mana untapped, like basically.
But I mean, that means that he's not in danger of dying then, because it looks like Eduardo doesn't have much going on. If without the Summit Prowler, Formidable can be used.
Yeah, but you expose yourself to anything. Like you expose yourself even to a +2/+2 effect. Or
I think he can actually pump twice even. Yeah. He used. Oh, okay, never mind. So he pumped once, making the light form manifest a 2/2/3, and then play the Epic Confrontation to make it a 3/5 and kill the Summit Prowler. So Frank will also gain 3 life. So that resolves. Frank Schäfer up to 16. And now will he attack with the Spirit for 2? He will. So Eduardo down to 11.
Yeah,
I quite like the play. Next turn he can just pump 3 times and, well, it's not lethal, but it's so much damage.
Yeah, but that would have been the case even if he doesn't play the Epic Confrontation. So I still disagree with this line.
I quite like it.
Now if Rado just top decks a Twin Bolt or something really good on this board, you might actually get in trouble.
Is it the Scream Rage Brawler or Loose Calm, maybe?
I think it looked like a dash creature to me.
That is the Scream Rage Brawler.
So dashing that in, activating a Tarka Pummeler, attacking with everything, but then losing, pretty much on the backswing.
Yeah.
It's not lethal, but 4, 5, 6, 10 mana. That's 3 activations, so...
Yeah, this is only a swing for 8, and... Yeah, Eduardo has spent his whole mana putting this together, and he will have to chump block with his Whisper Wilds if Frank decides to attack. Yeah, no blocks. Frank down to 8. I mean, he's if he pumps with Assault Formation 3 times, he's gaining 5 life of the Light Form again. So I don't think there's much that Eduardo can do.
And he could even force a chump block with his Sandstep Outcast, right?
Yeah.
So I think forcing the chump block of the Whisperer is definitely something he should do. Yeah. Might actually be relevant to limit your opponent's mana. There's a chance that you leave yourself dead to, like, let's say a Sprinting Warbrood. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13 damage. Yeah, probably not a card you want to lose to. If you
I mean, he can
it.
pump twice. Leave his Sandstep Outcast back. Just attack with the Flyers for 7 and play. I think he drew a Colossus Yearling.
Okay, that makes it relatively easy, I think.
Not sure, but
if you have another creature, you just play it, and there's very little you lose to.
So there's the swing. Maybe if the manifest is a creature, it could also be relevant. No, just okay. So Assault Formation 2 times. So that means that it's a 2/4 Light Form, so dealing 4 damage, and a 1/3 Spirit dealing 3 more. Eduardo down to 5. Frank gaining 3. There's a Colossus Yearling we talked about, and
which is virtually a 4/4.
Yeah, and Eduardo just has lands here, so I don't think he has the win. Yep, there's the handshake. So Frank Schäfer defeats Eduardo Sajgalik 2-0. So it's now 1 match apiece, with everything going down to wire in the match between Daniel Royde and Adrian Rosada in the B match. There we go, and it looks like they're just towards the start of the game. And I think it's the best case scenario for Adrian Rosado, who has a Wandering Troop Shell in play already against Daniel Royde's hyper-aggressive red-green deck, where there's just Morph in play. I think I saw a Humble Defector trading with a Kolaghan Skirmisher already, so it looks like Adrian Rosado had a great curve to answer what Daniel was doing, who just used Tormenting Voice here, and I think he might be able to aid a Glade Watcher to the board. Yep, that's what he does. Passes their turn. Adrian Rosado has built up his defenses solidly here.
Yeah, you were talking about the great curve of Daniel Royde's deck and how difficult it could be for the blue-black deck to stop that, but it looks like he has all the answers he needs.
It looks that way so far. Palace Familiar, but Adrian is a little low on cards. Daniel has a Guardian Shield Bearer in hand. And I think I saw Goreswine and maybe a couple other cards.
Yeah, Goreswine not matching up too nicely against Palace Familiar and Sultai Emissary. On the other hand, if he has a way to put a +1/+1 counter on the Swine, it could actually be quite potent.
Yeah. There's a land. He has an Einon Guide as well. So there's a Morph first. That's the Shield Bearer. And also an Einon Guide as a 2/2. So I think Daniel's just planning to flood the board now and start swinging on the following turn. Especially if Adrian Rosado doesn't do much.
The Guardian Shield Bearer is actually really difficult to beat sometimes. Even if you know your opponent has it, the trigger is quite strong.
There's 4 mana, Youthful Scholar. Adrian Rosado just passed. Doesn't even attack with his fire. He's like, I want to keep my guys back.
I think that's very understandable.
Yeah, I like that plan.
Especially if you've basically just cast a Living Divination that you're very happy to trade off, but if your opponent somehow does something like Magnetic Chasm, suddenly you're really happy to have that Palace Familiar.
So there's a Goreswine. I wonder what the first morph is from Daniel Royde. We know the second one is the Guardian Shield Bearer. I wonder if he has maybe another. Oh, Adrian Rosado drew Jessica Infiltrator. It's the one Eduardo Sajgalik opened it past. And there it is. So further gumming up the ground with both players being at a very high life total. I wonder when Daniel Royde will start attacking. Is this the turn?
I don't even see reasonable attacks except if you want to attack with everything.
Sure.
But look at how badly this matches up. The Gorswagen is dominated by 3 creatures. You don't necessarily want the Youthful Scholar to die.
Okay, attack with the morph.
Ambush Crotic maybe.
Maybe that would be big.
Could be a dragon, but if it's only a 4/4, there's
Yeah.
actually really nice blocks for Adrian. So
Yeah, there he has a Herd Chaser dragon actually in his deck. So let's see what Adrian Rosada lines up as blockers here, if he blocks it all.
is there any reason not to just block with the Wandering Tomb Shell?
Well, if he wants cards, then block him with the Youthful Scholar.
No, but it's isn't this about?
Yeah, it was the Crotic.
So how big does this become?
7/6.
Okay, yeah. So
That was a good block.
that was the most likely scenario, right?
Yeah, there was a Acid Spear Dragon drawn from Adrian Rosada. I think he has plenty of cards. I wonder if he has more lands.
It looks like Rosada is holding a glint.
I think I saw a glint. I
Does he
didn't
have a
want to
glint
bring
in
it
his
up.
main deck, or
Maybe board it in.
not usually the card you see in this
No.
format?
There we see the German team at the back, and the 3-headed English giant.
Pretty quiet 3-headed giant though. There's
Yeah.
not much talking going on.
Which arguing. Both play. Well, I mean, Adrian Rosada now has a lot of cards in his hand.
I think Daniel Royde prefers to focus on his match and only ask for assistance when he wants it, when he needs it.
I think Daniel drew a Colossus on Yearling here. Let's see if he decides to attack with the Crotic. Yeah, he goes for it. Not much to lose here.
Except for the Crotic.
Except for the Crotic, yes.
No, I mean, Adrian is, for example, representing Reach of Shadows.
Sure. Or flatten. But I think the guys, the English guys, probably know that it's unlikely that Adrian Rosada has a Reach of Shadows because Eduardo was passing to him.
Yeah, you know almost all the cards.
And he knows
available
almost all the
to-
cards, yeah. He knew about the Jeskai Infiltrator. He hate drafted. Okay, this is interesting. So gets the value out of double blocking and he still has a flatten in his hand to finish the Crotic off. So it's a 7/6, takes 2 damage, and flatten just kills it.
But I think he wants to flatten only at the end of turn, just to be a little bit safe.
Yeah.
About,
I mean, he's in no rush. So now he has to decide what he. So does he draw first? Yes. And manifest.
Should be completely irrelevant.
Yes.
Okay, so Daniel gets to play his creature if he wants to, and then Flatten will take out the Crotic. If Daniel has a trick instead, it would be great for him, because he kind of has to know that it's now going to be a Flatten rather than anything else.
It's like, wait. He has a
Yeah.
Guardian Shield
Of
Bearer.
course,
Like
yes.
he forgot about it. He has to thank the gods for Eduardo Sajgalik for stopping him in time there. He was about to grab the card and put it in his graveyard. So yeah, well played from the Englishman, especially from Daniel's teammate.
Well played by Eduardo Sajgalik.
Yeah, in the match of Daniel Royde.
Who isn't in this match. Yeah, that would have been a blunder.
I mean, we knew about it as well.
And Daniel had to anticipate the Flatten.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious that that is what was going to happen. But I think Adrian Rosada has this under control. Not only has Glint, but I see Encase in Ice and Douse and Gloom.
Yeah, Encase in Ice is perfect now on the Crotic that has gone, but he's down to 3 creatures, so it's not as clear as to how he wants to turn this around. His creatures that were formerly dominating the Gorswine is also gone.
Yeah. I mean, the Gorswine still matches up really poorly against the Wandering Tomb Shell.
Yeah, it's not meandering anymore.
No, it really stopped meandering. Oh, I mean, that's what 1,000 Years does to you, right?
I mean, at least it's still doing something. Once again, a pass on 5 lands.
We know he has the SSP Dragon, but he would have probably loved to deploy. Then Royde draws the land, and I think he now has 2 in his hand. Not exactly sure. They're being pretty secretive about the contents of their hand.
Is there a line where he attacks with everything on this board?
That could end up in disaster. I think Adrian would then Thousand Gloom the Guardian Shield Bearer.
Have a glint up, maybe?
Have a glint up, yeah. And Tomb Shell blocks Gore Swine, and Jessica Infiltrator kills Aino Guide. Oh, he still wants to play the Encasing Ice. I mean,
True. Yeah, I mean, if Encasing Ice is cast before combat
Yeah.
here, then Daniel is going to basically know that he has no.
like he
no
can
attack.
still attack. No, probably not. No,
No,
not,
it's
not if there's an Encasing Ice.
he wants to attack with the Crotic or more, but if the Crotic is not attacking, I don't think there's an attack. Into 3 open mana too.
Yeah.
Players of the Super Sunday Sealant, you have 50 minutes, you may begin. Giocatori del Super Sunday Sealant, avete 50 minuti, potete iniziare.
Quite a discussion there. Okay, it's the activation of the Glade Watcher. I think the English team has decided on the all-out attack.
Yeah, but they're going to
However-
change their mind very soon. Yes, there's the Encasing Ice. Flash, Aura, mean that it taps down a red or green creature. Oh. Okay, still attacks with the medium-sized creatures. So Colossal Yearling, Glade Watcher, and Guardian Shieldbearer. So now maybe time for Dousing Glue on the Shieldbearer, and yeah, maybe there he can line up some sort of double block. You could actually also just try to trade the Manifest for the Shieldbearer, block with the Tomb Shell, block the Glide Watcher, and finish it off with the Thousand Gloom. So a couple lines of play for Adrian and Rosada, and I think they're in prime shape to take this home. If they have any sort of follow-up, but I mean, we saw Pure Dragon, still Glint there as well.
Yeah, Glint, the surprising card. I didn't expect this attack at all, but it's... I guess it's an attack that you can make.
They're just trying to figure out the best blocks here. They can, yeah. This looks like a good block, yeah. Tower Shell there. Infiltrator. Okay, trade. That's fine too.
That's okay, because the 2/3 is only holding off a single 2/2,
Yeah.
and you are planning to build larger creatures in the future anyway.
And you only take 2 here. With a full grip, that's fine. So
Oh, and you still get to end of turn Dows, right?
Exactly, yeah, that's the main plan. So Thousand Gloom would deal the lethal blow to the Glade Watcher on Daniel Royde's side of the table. I think Daniel doesn't have a follow-up here. And I really didn't like this attack after the Encased Knight. So we talked about it, that we see no point in attacking.
As I said, I only expected all creatures to attack, but you can only do that if you have a trick.
Right, so, oh, there's a post-combat hunt week. Okay, they want to finish off the Tower Shell, which has been annoying. So Daniel Royde still had a trick up his sleeve. So now the attacks makes much more sense. The question is now if Adrian Rosada is going to glint here, or if he wants to get the value from Thousand Gloom. But it looks like they're going to glint, which is 2 mana, give a creature +0/+3 and hexproof until end of turn. Daniel is like, what is this? Okay, I'll have a read.
Oh, it's the first time we've seen it this weekend.
Yes, for sure. And it's proving to be pretty good here, protecting Adrian Rosada's Wandering Tomb Shell from the Hundo week. Still, at least the Yearling got a +1/+1 counter. Right, so there's the 6th land for Rosada. He's been waiting on that one for a while. I think he has Essence Pure Dragon, also the Thought Scour Dragon, the blue 4/4 dragon.
Yeah, that
from
looks
Fader
quite
Forge.
promising. And now he has to know that Daniel is basically almost out of cards.
Yeah. But he starts it off as a morph. Oh, he wants to keep up Dousing Gloom again. Sure.
don't mind keeping up Dowsing Gloom, because if Daniel has an attack, it's because he has a trick, so you can maybe punish that again, and then you're still going to dominate the late game with your flyers. And if you draw an untapped mana source, you can even pass again, flip open the flip
Sure.
up the dragon. No,
Yeah.
we just slam.
Yeah, I think that was on the impulse of Rosario Maij, who intervened there. Like, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Just play the big guy. He has no flyers.
If you want to tab out for it, this is the turn to do it.
Yeah.
And after that, then you start playing more conservatively. Also, Mindscar Dragon basically able to take down the game on its own.
Yeah.
Although Adrian is not forced to attack next turn, he could just
No,
take it
he
really
can stay
slowly.
back. He can add Essence Fever Dragon and just pass if he wants to. Yeah, nothing from Daniel Royde. Now I see, Rakshasa Gravecaller. That'll come up the ground really quickly. I think Adrian Rosada, if he decides to play the Gravecaller, maybe sacrifice the Manifest, and I don't see a way for Daniel to get through.
No, and Daniel needs a card like Magnetic Chasm, but his Crotic is tapped down, so he only has 12 points of power.
Yeah.
Even with another great card like Temur Battle Rage, that's just not going to be lethal.
So the dragon attacks means that Daniel Royde is going to take 4, and 4 cards will get milled.
Yeah,
He can mill himself, right?
Yes, he can, but it's rarely what you want to be doing.
I mean, but he's gonna make mill Daniel, I think. Spell, land. Yeah, average. Not that it really matters. And adding the Essence Pure Dragon, I think. Yeah, so 3/3 flyer with Death Touch. Really putting on a screw here. Actually, a 2-turn clock. Swing with both dragons twice while still having Dowsing Gloom in his hand.
Yeah, and Rakshasa Gravecaller.
It's back up. Yeah, Adrian Rosada's deck was pretty good, as I told you. He also has the Silumgar Assassin in his deck.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm wondering if he boarded in the Glint, or if he's running it main deck. It definitely did his job this game. Not that it was amazing by any means, but it might be the difference that the second German or even Berlin team needed to steal this game.
So Tomb Shell is going to block the Glade Watcher again. I think Adrian is going to take 3 from the Colossal Yearling. Daniel Royde just passes with 2 cards in his hand. A land for Rosada. Let's see if it's relevant at all. Swing with the 2 flyers. Put Daniel Royde down to 7.
Yeah, and that's exactly the 2-turn clock that you mentioned. The Mindscar Dragon triggers. Just 4 more random cards.
Again, 2 land and 2 spells.
The problem for Daniel is he is on 7, so even if he draws an answer to the Mindscar Dragon, he's still facing the other flyer, and he basically has no position to threaten lethal or to really start an offense here.
Yep. So just plays a Gurmak Drowner as a 2/4. Doesn't even exploit for value. Just the defensive creature should be enough for him. I think if Daniel doesn't draw anything good here, and he doesn't, it's a forest. I think the game is over because Daniel has no flyers. So he's going to reveal Magmatic Chasm. Nice card, but the Germans are gone to the finals. So we're going to have all German, all Berlin finals. Both the English teams have fallen in the semi-final hurdle.
Lots of English national champions in our top 4. None of them will be the champions of